Troubleshooting Draper's Scissor Lift SL and SLX motorized projector lift. Topic: replacing or checking the encoder, also known as lift is going down in increments. Tools needed: a small flathead screwdriver, a 1/2 inch wrench, a 5/16 inch bolt hand driver, and needle nose pliers. It is recommended to have factory supplied switches installed, access to disconnect the lift power, and safe access to the top pan from the front of the lift. Problem: the scissor lift only moves about an inch at a time and then stops. This occurs when moving either up or down. This behavior likely means that the encoder is unplugged or faulty. The encoder is a circuit that lets the low voltage controller know what position the scissor lift is currently in, so that the controller can stop the lift at the programmed show position. If the controller is not receiving this information from the encoder as the motor starts to move, the controller will stop the motor. That is why the lift only moves a small distance before stopping. Solution: Step 1. Check to see that the encoder is plugged in properly. The wiring harness is a small white plastic piece with 3 wires connected to it. The wires are black, red, and white. On a Scissor Lift SL, the wiring harness should be connected so that the white cable is closest to the front of the lift. On a Scissor Lift SLX, the wiring harness should be connected so that the black cable is closest to the front of the lift. Step 2. Check to see that the coupler connecting the encoder assembly to the cherry limit switch assembly is seated properly. There should be little to no play or wiggle to this coupler. Step 3. Check to make sure the low voltage controller is in the correct mode. If all of these have been checked and the lift is still not operating properly, then the encoder will most likely need to be replaced. Please contact Draper AV Technical Support to discuss and to order a replacement. To replace the encoder, follow these steps. Step 1. Disconnect power to the lift. Step 2. Unplug the wire harness connected to the encoder. Step 3. Using a 1/2 inch wrench, disconnect the double cherry limit switch below the encoder and let it hang by the wires. Step 4. Using a 5/16 inch hand driver, unscrew the 2 machine screws connecting the encoder bracket to the cherry limit switch bracket. Step 5. Slide the encoder and the encoder bracket out of the coupler. Step 6. Using needle nose pliers, straighten the pins of the encoder harness to release it from the encoder bracket. We will now follow these steps in reverse order to install the new encoder. Step 1. Insert the encoder into the encoder bracket. Step 2. Using needle nose pliers, bend the pins of the encoder harness to secure the encoder onto the encoder bracket. Step 3. Using a 5/16 inch hand driver, insert the 2 machine screws to secure the encoder bracket to the cherry limit switch bracket. Step 4. Using a 1/2 inch wrench, reconnect the double cherry limit switch below the encoder. Step 5. Plug the wiring harness into the encoder. Step 6. Reconnect power to the lift.